Yesterday, we spent some time making sure we understood how the forever block worked, and we used an if statement inside of there so we could use WASD to move our character around. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this character can move around and follow our mouse. So a slightly different motion, but we're going to use the forever block again. So let's go to events and say that when you click on the sprite, what we want to have happen is once again forever. So we'll drag that in. Forever, we're going to make it point at the mouse. So to do that, we go to motion and we just say point towards the mouse pointer. And now if we click on the cat, it will constantly point at our mouse. So that's great. It's turning around and following us in terms of its direction, but we need it to move toward us. So to do that, move 10 steps. Moves directly toward whatever it's pointing at. Now 10 steps might be a little bit quick. It's coming at us really fast. So let's see if we can fix that. Let's put it down to 5. Now you may have noticed that when it got to my mouse cursor, it started blinking like crazy and it's going back and forth. And the reason it's doing that is that it's getting right to my mouse pointer and then it is within 5 steps, so it's just constantly going slightly too far, turning around, pointing back at the mouse, and then going slightly too far the other direction. And it's doing that over and over. So what we're going to do is we'd like to make it so that when it gets to my mouse cursor, not only does it stop, but also that it plays a sound. Let's make it meow. So in order to do that, we need to be able to ask the computer a question. And just a reminder from yesterday, the way we ask the computer a question is by using an if statement. So in this case, rather than just a simple if, we're going to use an if-else. And what we want to do is we want to say if, and then under the sensing, you'll notice that once again, the way that we can fill in that question is we could say if it's touching the mouse pointer. In that case, I don't want it to move 5 steps. I'm going to put the 5 steps in the else. And that way, if it's not touching the mouse pointer, then it will move 5 steps. If it is touching the mouse pointer, let's go to looks, to sound. And inside of sound, we're going to say play sound meow. And let's give it a go. So when we click the flag, it's going to move around. When it gets to my mouse, it does something weird. It sounds like it's meowing over and over and over. The reason that's happening is that the play sound is being triggered constantly. As soon as it touches that mouse, it's doing this over and over and over. So we just want to remove the play sound, and we want to play the meow sound until that sound is completed. And what that will look like is it will now come after my mouse. When it gets there, it will play that sound once, and then you'll notice that it pauses until it's finished meowing and then continues on. So there we go. We've got a simple forever block that now uses an if-else, and we've managed to figure out the difference between play sound until done and just a regular play sound. So let's save that. And let's make one more new project today. And our other new project now is going to be experimenting with repeat, but instead of repeating forever, this time we just want to repeat a certain number of times. So I'm just going to call this drawing polygons. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to draw a simple square. Now, to draw a square, we could do that by painting it on the stage ourselves, or we can make the character, the cat, draw a square for us. The way we do that is we go to the pen menu, and with the pen, we can choose to put a pen down. And if I do that, so I double-clicked on the pen down, and then if I move him around, so to make him quickly move around, let's just add something into my control here. So I'll just say when the space key is pressed, let's move 10 steps. And we'll put the pen down. So if I do that and I move him, notice that there's this little line that he's drawn. Okay? So if we want him to draw a square, what we'd do is we would move a certain number of steps, let's say 50 steps. Then we'd need to turn 90 degrees, and we'd need to repeat that 4 times in order to create a square. Now, one way you could repeat that is to duplicate the move steps and turn left. And I'll just quickly do that to demonstrate it. And at the start of this, we're going to clear the screen so that we don't see the remnants of the previous work. And now if I press the space key, you will see that the cat drew that square. This, however, is a horribly inefficient way to do it because we're just repeating the exact same code over and over. So what I'd like to do is remove that and simply go to Control, and use repeat. And I'm going to throw the move and turn inside a repeat. And obviously for a square, I'd need this to repeat 4 times. And if I press the space bar now, there we go, he draws a square. If I want to change how large that square is, I can just change how many steps he's going to move. And now he draws a larger square. Great. So let's say that we wanted to make this happen for a different shape, maybe a polygon that was 5-sided, say, instead of 4. Well, if I just changed this to a 5, but I didn't change anything else, what would happen is he would just draw a square, but then end in a different location. And the reason is that I've forgotten to change how many degrees that he can turn. And so I could do the calculation here and figure it out, or I could be lazy and realize that in one full revolution, there's 360 degrees. So all I need to do is say, let's take the 360 degrees and just divide that by the number of sides that I want him to turn, in this case 5. If I press the space bar now, there we go, we've got a nice pentagon. And we can do this for any number of sides. It doesn't matter what it is. Let's say that we wanted 7 sides. As long as I repeat 7 sides and also divide 360 degrees by 7, it should make me a nice regular figure like that. So it doesn't matter, as I say, what we put in there, just so long as we've got it set up in that fashion, we should now be able to draw ourselves a regular polygon very easily.